From 1869 to 1871, the new rail line from Nashville, Tennessee, via Decatur, Alabama, and on to Montgomery, Alabama, was nearing completion. The Nashville and Decatur Railroad, that had been recently acquired by the Louisville and Nashville Railroad, was constructing the new line south of Decatur towards the new city of Birmingham. The South and North Alabama Railroad was in the process of completing their new line from Montgomery to Birmingham. The Louisville and Nashville Railroad would eventually have to provide financial backing to the South and North Alabama Railroad to get the final sections of the line completed to Birmingham by the end of 1871. With the new line completed between Montgomery to Nashville, continuing on to Louisville, Kentucky, the first train to operate on the line took place in November 1871. The Nashville and Decatur Railroad was responsible for the construction of the line through Warrior and the building of the bridge crossing the Locust Fork of the Warrior River. It is unsure how many months it took to construct the bridge or how many laborers or engineers it took. Two bridge piers located on the opposite banks of the river were built using cut stone brought from an unknown quarry that, when finished, would stand some 80 feet in height. A combination of wooden supports were built on either side of the stone piers with iron plating supports for the center. When finished, the bridge would span nearly 700 feet over the river. The area around Warrior and Kimberly would become a vital asset to the Louisville and Nashville Railroad in later years, with the development of numerous coal mines that required many spur and branch lines to be built. By 1911, the Sibley Mange brick plant would open a few miles north of Warrior, which would also eventually operate its own coal mines. By 1911, with so much traffic operating on the single rail line between Birmingham and Nashville, trains were backing up. Add to which the original grade in many areas north of Warrior was too steep for locomotives to pull large numbers of cars, that was causing numerous freight delays and costing the railroad vast amounts of lost revenue. Company officials decided to construct a new double-track line just south of Birmingham, north past Newcastle towards Bangor in Blount County, a distance of some 25 miles that would bypass the difficult route through Warrior. The new line opened at the end of 1914, with the original route being renamed the Warrior Mineral Branch, which would service both passenger and freight traffic. By the 1930s, many of the branch and spur lines that serviced the numerous coal mines had ceased operations, and the lines were moved over the years by L&N. The Warrior branch line stayed in continuous operation on into the 1940s. By the 1950s, only the Dixie Fire Break Company, that had opened a large mining operation just a mile northeast of the Locust Fork River Rail Bridge, and the brick plant located north of Warrior, were still using the branch line, along with several smaller coal mining operations in the Warrior and Kimberly area. Passenger trains had been discontinued also by this time. By the early 1960s, with no traffic using the Warrior branch line, L&N applied to the Interstate Commerce Commission to abandon the whole branch line, which was later approved. By 1967, an L&N workforce removed all of the tracks of the Warrior branch line. The rail bridge over the Locust Fork River was also dismantled, leaving only the stone bridge piers and support pillars still in place. This video clip was taken on the north side of the Locust Fork River, on the bank above the river, just below the bluff. This is looking to the south, and this is the north side stone bridge pier. Stood about roughly 80 something feet high, and the other bridge piers across the river, there's a big house on the bluff above it. There was, even in the winter months, there's still just a lot of privet. And it had rained pretty heavily the night before, and it's pretty treacherous getting down that bluff to view this. And it was pretty overcast, but this was really the only time we had available to come see this. But it's an impressive bridge pier, stone bridge pier. Did a lot of research, could not find the quarry of where these stones came from when it was first constructed. So, but it's remarkable. It's still standing. There's some other foundation supports there on either side between the bridge pier and the bluff. That's the bridge pier over there. They had wooden supports, and they had steel plating in between the two stone bridge piers crossing the river. So it's a shame that it's not more viewable. The person that lives in that house across the river, they got a great view. But it was really hard to see the other bridge pier with the overcast. And there was actually quite a bit of fog when we had first descended down the bluff to get to the site. So these are some of the bridge pier foundations where they had the wooden section of the bridge. And it's no telling how long it took them to build that bridge. It could have even been a year to bring all that equipment and materials in to build that. It's a pretty rough area. There's a lot of dense overgrowth. So, and there's more of the more of the foundation remains are just going up the bluff. So, but it was really neat to finally get down here and see that. Once again, this is on the north side of the river. That's looking back towards the north side stone bridge pier. And these are some of the stone foundation remains which supported the wooden sections of the bridge between each pier going to each side of the bluff on either side of the river. Tried to zoom in as best I could. Their foundation remains staggered going all the way to the top of the bluff. It's pretty treacherous to even try to walk up there, so that's why I just tried to zoom in. But very interesting. They're still, all in place. The Saloka mine was originally owned and developed by the Seloca Coal Company beginning around 1902. In 1904, the Seloca mine was acquired by the newly formed Crescent Coal Company of Birmingham. The Seloca mine operated via a rock tunnel slope on the Jefferson coal seam that averaged some 42 inches in thickness. A Crawford and McCrimmon air ventilation fan was installed at the base of the bluff just above the Locust Fork River on the north side. An inclined tramway was installed running from the mine portal, located halfway down a deep ravine from the top of the bluff, to raise and lower mine carts by a steam-operated cable hoist. A tramway line ran from the top of the incline to the coal loading tipple that was situated along a spur line operated by the Louisville and Nashville Railroad's Warrior Mineral Branch. Over 100 men were employed working at the Saloka mine. It was later developed into a full mining camp with its own commissary, schools, and medical offices, along with many homes being built for the company's employees. In 1912, the newly formed Atlantic Coal Company of Birmingham purchased the Saloka mine and property from the Crescent Coal Company and took over daily operations of the mining camp. The Saloka mine stayed in continuous operation up to somewhere around 1925 when it was finally closed down. This is the concrete foundation remains to the Seloca mine air shaft. It's situated on the north side of the Locust Fork River at the base of the bluff. And all up along the top of the plateau was the mining camp, commissary, tipple, rail spur lines. And I'm not sure how deep down they sunk the air shaft, because they had to sink it so many feet down and they had to go horizontal to the north to meet the main coal workings, the underground coal workings of the Seloca mine. It could have been sunk down 50 or 100 feet to they had to sink it down 100, maybe 100 feet, and then they had to develop it horizontal to meet the main workings of the Seloca mine to provide ventilation. But like I said, it's very interesting to see. This was powered by a Crawford and McCrimmon air ventilation fan. And straight ahead, that would have been an opening. But it's sealed up by stones and cement, grout, and very well could have been sealed up by the Works Progress Administration in the 1930s, since its proximity is so close to the Locust Fork River. That's one thing the WPA did a lot in the Birmingham district in the 1930s, was sealing up any coal mines or vents that were nearby rivers or creeks. But this is all that remains of the Seloca mine. It would have been great to find a photograph or diagrams of what it really looked like and how it operated, but just wasn't able to do that. But anyway, this is all that remains of this big mine up here at Warrior, just above the Locust Fork River. So with this concluded our short field trip up to see the bridge pier remains along the Locust Fork River of the old L&N Railroad at Warrior, and also the Seloca mine air ventilation shaft foundation remains. Hope everyone enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching.